Welcome to the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Thorn City Podcast Guy. In this episode, Pat Cheung joins us to talk the world of podcast engagement and monetization strategies. We'll explore the journey of his company, Pod Inbox, to the rebrand, Fanlist, and how they help you build a loyal podcast audience. We'll discuss strategies to boost listener engagement, create valuable content, turn your passion into profit. He will share his expertise on connecting with your audience and best practices for monetizing your podcast. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just starting out, you'll find valuable tips and inspiration to elevate your game. This is more than just a podcast. It's an opportunity to gain insights, be inspired, and join the conversation today. Thorn City Podcast Guy, let's go. Yes, sir. We're back at it. Welcome to the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show, where we network and build connections through interviews and discussions. I'm your host, Thorn City Podcast Guy. Episode is brought to you by GMP Podcast Group. Make sure you visit www.thorncitysyndicate.com. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Be the first to know about new episodes and bonus updates. Today, I got a special guest in the house, Pat Cheung. How you doing?
All right.
Did I pronounce that right, Cheung?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Cool.
That's
Nice.
really good.
Nice, man. I really appreciate you coming in, man.
Yeah.
So I met Pat at the PodConf. Was that in May?
Oh, man. I already forgot.
Last year?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, I think
Maybe April,
last
think
April, May. Yeah, Pat put together the first annual PodConf in Portland. It was a great event. So hopefully we're going to do it again, right?
Yeah, I got to run it back.
Yeah.
Sometime. Yeah.
Sometime, yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm sure that was a lot of work. So today we're going to go into your background and expertise in podcasting and how you came up with the creation of PodConf. We'll touch on the fan engagement in podcasting, and then we'll wrap it up with monetizing podcasts.
Sure. Right on.
So, since we started with the PodConf, tell me how that idea came about.
Sure. So I've been in the podcast industry for, I'd say, about 4 years now. I run a company called Fanlist, formerly known as Pod Inbox. So being in the industry, you go to a lot of these conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been to a couple of the big ones, and they're kind of these big, I'd say they're more maybe like trade shows versus conference.
Yeah.
And going to a lot of these, I realize a lot of people just really, I guess a lot of podcasters just really want to connect, someplace to connect.
Yeah.
And a trade show, although it was good for, me and my company, I'm like, oh, as a podcaster, maybe there's something else they want to experience, like another type of connection. So I thought, you know what, maybe let's just try something different than these other trade shows we're doing. So yeah, just thought about the idea of PodConf, of really just kind of focusing on the connection between podcasters versus like when you go to these trade shows, you get hit up by a lot of vendors like myself. I'm guilty of that at the trade shows, but I'm like, wow, I don't know if that's what all these podcasters are looking for. They're kind of looking to learn, connect, and maybe a little bit something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what initially got you into podcasting?
Quite honestly, being a podcast listener, for a long time, I was not a podcaster. I just enjoyed podcasts for a long time, probably maybe since the time it kind of started. So just been a listener for a long time and kind of just realized, podcasting really, I guess, not to be over exaggerating, but it did kind of change my life. I think I spent a lot more time before podcasting listening to music, and I just found, the share of ear between music and podcasts, it just really started trending towards podcasts. So, yeah, fell in love with it as a listener.
Yeah. Nice. So you started Pod in a Box, and that was dedicated to Fed engagement. Is that right?
Yeah, fan engagement. And I'm glad you mispronounced the name.
Did I? What did I say?
And a lot of people were doing
Pod in a Box?
Yeah, you said Pod in a Box. But the company was called Pod Inbox.
Oh, Pod Inbox. Really?
Yeah.
I've been saying Pod in a Box.
Oh, you know what? That's why we changed the name to Fanlist, because
Gotcha.
we should have known that. So one of the first conferences we went to was called Podcast Movement, and we actually launched Pod Inbox at Podcast Movement, and we got a booth there. We paid thousands of dollars for a booth, and it was our sort of announcement to the world that we exist.
Yeah.
And it was awesome conference, awesome experience altogether. But one thing I noticed that I'd say 1 out of maybe 5 people that came around the booth was like, So tell me what pod in a box
Pod in a
does.
box.
So really early on, we realized, oh no, I made a naming mistake.
Yeah.
People just weren't pronouncing it right.
Yeah.
So, since the beginning, I thought, eventually we're going to change the name. And finally, we just changed the name about a month ago.
Yeah.
And got the trademarks and all that. Yeah.
And it's the Fanlist now, huh?
Yeah, Fanlist now. And the reason why we called it Pod Inbox is we started with a really simple idea is we wanted to solve this one pain point we saw over and over from podcasters is podcasters wanted to hear back from their audience, hear back from their fans. So a lot of people didn't have any good way of doing it other than, this podcast that I listen to quite often. It's called How I Built This. Have you heard of this?
I haven't.
Oh, awesome podcast. It's the host is this guy's name is Guy Raz, and he basically has a podcast where he interviews entrepreneurs, really successful ones, of how they built their companies. So like basically the origin story of their companies. And, even he started doing this thing that I teach a lot, which is you ask your fans to send you audio messages so that you could play it back on the show and kind of increase fan engagement.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of podcasters do this, and he started doing this. And he does the thing that my tool is trying to solve, which is he asks people to record a message and email it to them, which I thought, oh, that's kind of complicated. So I don't, if I was a fan, I'm not really sure if I knew how to record a message on my phone and then email it.
Yeah, that's tough.
A lot of work. So that's sort of initially why we called it Pod Inbox. Is we wanted to give podcasters this online inbox.
Got you. Yeah, so that's probably something I struggle with is the fan engagement, because it was like pulling teeth to get me out in front of the camera and behind this mic.
Yeah.
I always like to be behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so now I'm coming out a little bit more, but I still don't engage with people enough, I think, on social media, and that's really what social media is all about.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. Like, and we even see sort of the way podcasters engage. It could be different than social media because social media kind of makes you be a little bit more extroverted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know if you're introverted.
I'm introvert for sure.
Which is like a good match for podcasting.
Yeah.
So I think, which is why we kind of developed our platform. It's like, it's more asynchronous. It's just kind of easier to say, hey, go here instead of writing me an email, just leave me a message. It's not that kind of extroverted type of engagement.
Yeah.
But you're getting better, I noticed. You're working on it.
I'm working on it. Yeah. It's a process, but I've come a long way, I think. And yeah, like I've been getting a lot of good feedback from people who've been checking out my show, and especially people who know me, and they're surprised to hear me talk here on the mic because I'm not a big talker. Yeah, no, not really. I mean, if it's something to talk, if there's something worth talking about, I'll talk, but we could be out in a room full of people and everyone's holding conversations and I'm just sitting back and just kind of soaking it in and listening to everybody, and I won't say one word sometimes.
Good listener.
Yeah, I'm just a listener and a people watcher. So yeah, so the podcast has been good for me definitely for that reason.
That's great.
Yeah. So back to the PodConf. Any lasting memories from that?
I mean, it was such a great event. Definitely a lot of effort to produce an event like that. But yeah, I was very impressed how many people came out to show support for the event. And not just to show support, but just to engage. One thing we really wanted to focus on is, I hate those events where you kind of just, just speaking about extrovert and introvert, where you just go and you just sit there and listen.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want there to be a high amount of participation. And I felt like that's, we kind of achieved that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people who volunteered to give little talks.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, it was good. I'd say balance. Like my takeaway was it was a good balance between being very interactive and learning things.
Nice. Yeah, I've actually had a couple people on the show that I went there. Yeah.
Cool.
Jonah.
Oh, yeah.
Jonah's been on the show, and then we were talking about Mac earlier. He's been on the show. And I think that's it, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. And then you.
Awesome.
So, yeah, thanks for coming again, man. I appreciate it. So we're going to take a break here, get a message from our sponsor, GMP Podcast Group, the production team. When we come back, we'll get into some insights of creating fan engagement in podcasting. Discover GMP Podcast Group Studios, located at 2406 East Burnside Street in Portland, Oregon, offering a range of podcasting packages to suit your needs, starting at just $49 per hour for your basic setup, featuring a Rodecaster Pro audio console and SM7B microphones, as well as options complete with camera operator and audio engineer expertise. Elevate your podcasting with multi-camera recording, plus we capture behind-the-scenes shots within the studio. Visit us at www.gmpodcastgroup.com and let GMP Podcast Studios be where your podcasting journey begins.
Cause this syndicate lyricist exists. Don't blink one eye, baby, you just might miss history in the making from the making of this. Third, I guess it's welcome back to these words. So I'ma come well like welcome back words for sure.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Thorn City Podcast Guy. Pat Cheung in the building. How we doing?
Good. Still good. Yep.
Nice. So yes, the Spotlight Show. And I started this show. It's all about the power of networking and building strategic alliances. And so that's the main reason why I started it, to make me get out and network more. And like I said, bring me out of my shell a little bit and open up and share my story a little bit of, how I got to this chair in podcasting. I started in managing a best friend of mine. He did music our whole time growing up, from high school and our early adult years. He was doing music. Then he got caught in the fast life and became addicted to pills and alcohol. And so he was doing really bad. I wanted some new music from him, so I decided to get him back in the studio and kind of pay for my own album. And shortly after we started recording, I was like, this could be something that can, help him get his life back together. And sure enough, that's what happened. He's about almost 7 years clean now. He's a homeowner. He's a director of Healing Hurt People program over at POIC. And that's how I met my business partner, Justin. I needed a music video, and he's into the production. That's why he's back there filming all this. And so we made a music video called Honesty. We entered it at some film festivals and won a few awards. Got to travel to some film festivals, and COVID hit. And all the music stopped. And he was living with a buddy of his named Tim James, the Health Hero Show. His business wasn't doing so good. He's a health coach, and he sells health supplements. And so they decided to start him a podcast, and his business has been off and running ever since. So shout out to Tim James. I think we just launched his 203rd episode this week.
Oh, wow. No.
And he's going to rebrand the show. I believe he said it's going to be Tim James Unleashed. So I'm curious to see where Tim James Unleashed goes. But yeah, man, that's how I got into this chair.
Great.
And so it's been good, man. So tell me a little bit more about the transition from Pod Inbox.
Yeah.
There we go. Pod Inbox to Fanlist. And how long's the new changes been in effect?
Sure. So we just rebranded to Fanlist. Literally, the change has been in the works for about 4 or 5 months. Yeah, we had to get the domain name and all that stuff,
that was a tough domain name. Did someone have that already?
Yeah.
They did, huh?
Yeah, so we had to go through a domain broker and all that stuff. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Naming is tough. But yeah, we finally, got all that settled down. And yeah, we just made the switch, I think about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty recent.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely have me an account set up when it was Pod in the Box. So now I'm going back in Pod Inbox. So now I'm going back to where I've had some of those links set up. I like how it just automatically goes to Fanlist.
Yeah.
But I've switched some manually myself. But no, that was a good. So tell me about some of the features on Fanlist. And are the same features on Pod Inbox that are on Fanlist? And are there any differences?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's all the same features, and then we added some too. So we worked a long time for this last release, this last software release. And, our tagline, we kind of wanted to change it too. So now, if I were to describe Fanlist in just one sentence, it's just to let creators know, grow, and monetize their fans. That basically kind of sums up a lot of our features. So on Fanlist, that's where creators, I say creators a lot because, it's not just for podcasters. Any creator could create a fan page. So you go set up a fan page account. It's free to use. We only make money when the creator makes money. That's another big change that we just had, because we used to have this monthly fee, and then we're like, you know what? We hated the idea of kind of paywalling our best features. So we changed that. So now the whole software is free to use, and we just kind of take a percentage of the revenue.
Nice. So what are the membership? You were telling me about a membership.
Yeah.
Do you offer memberships now?
Yeah, and just to swing back on some of the core features is when you create a fan page, you could immediately start receiving audio and text messages from your fans, which a lot of podcasters really like because they sometimes incorporate their fan messages onto their show, which highly advised for you.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun way to get your fans engaged in your show.
Nice.
And on that fan page, fans could leave the creator like monetary tips.
Nice.
And they could buy perks. And the latest feature we released literally just last week was what's called listener subscriptions to a paid podcast.
Nice.
So let's say you have a podcast, Thorn City Syndicate podcast, and you wanted to release bonus episodes. Then, and if you had some bonus episode ideas, like maybe like an AMA or I don't know, behind the scenes episodes, you would need some kind of a podcast hosting provider to sort of take care of the online billing and the subscription management and all that. So,
nice.
So that's all the stuff we take care of with this new feature.
Got you. Now, does this replace like a website, or you still want a website for your podcast?
I mean, that's a great question. We always recommend podcasters or any creators to still have their main website, but it's really, an addendum to your website. We call a fan page. And that, there's a reason for that. Part of my background is I'm a user experience designer. So I've been sort of like a product designer for like way too many years, about a dozen years, whatever. I have to give away my age, but and a lot of what we found was a lot of creators' personal websites. It's more for branding. It's kind of like to know a little bit more about that person.
Yeah.
But it's not really optimized for a user to take some kind of an action.
No.
Yeah. So, we had the thought, it's like, because we thought about, should we let them customize their page a lot more? And we're like, no, because we're never going to replace the creator's regular, self-branded website. Yeah, it's always going to be this other thing that's kind of optimized for some visitor or fan to take an action.
Yeah, nice. So how do you stay updated on latest trends and preferences for fan engagement to enhance the platform?
I keep up with the industry quite a bit, not just podcasting industry, but really the greater creator economy. I think we live in a world now where, creators are just turning on their mics, turning on their cameras, and sort of making a living from it.
Yeah, that's it.
So there's this whole economy now. It's been going on, but I think it's more normalized now that creators are earning money. So yeah, there's a lot of things to pay attention to in that ecosystem and how things work. Yeah. So I try to pay attention to the creator economy in general.
Nice, man. So far, so good, man. I'm loving it. So we're gonna take one more break here, get a message from our other sponsor, Thorn City Syndicate, the management team, and when we come back, we'll discuss a little bit about monetizing podcasts and how that works. Introducing Thorn City Syndicate Management, your solution for brand management, social media promotions, digital content distribution, and podcast production. From shaping engaging content that resonates with your audience to amplifying your brand's reach through podcasting, we're your partners in driving success. We offer free strategy sessions and leverage our recording studio and personalized strategies to establish an online presence. Your brand's journey to the top starts with Thorn City Syndicate Management, where innovation meets results. Contact us now at www.thorncitysyndicate.com to embark on the future path of transforming your brand's future.
Cause this syndicate lyricist exists. Don't blink one eye, baby, you just might miss history in the making from the making of this. Third, I guess it's welcome back to these words. So I'ma come well like welcome backwards for sure.
Welcome back. It's a tune from my guy, my artist I was managing, Third Twin. If you haven't checked out episode 1, go check out episode 1. He was my first guest, and we talk a bit about his journey, my journey, and how I ended up in podcasting, in management, and in this chair. So let's wrap it up here in the third segment. Tell me a little bit about the delicate balance between providing value and generating revenue in the realm of podcast monetization.
That's a really good question. I mean, that's what I love about sort of the podcast industry. There's this sort of phrase called value for value. Mm-hmm. Like we're giving a lot of value. I think podcasters in general have grown in this culture of just providing a lot of value, but they haven't really practiced receiving any value back, not getting money, right?
Yep.
So I think there is this new crop of tools, and just an overall culture of like asking their fans for, selling their fans things and asking them for support, monetary support. So, the balance, not to be too derogatory on, some of our competitors, but like there's a lot of tools where it's just like, go to the site and buy something.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, there's something intrinsic about, being a fan first. I've kind of considered myself a fan first and creator second. To me, it's hard to say, just go somewhere to go buy this shirt for me or, go buy, these episodes from me. But, when we designed Fanlist, we thought, they have to provide value first, which is that connection point. That's why we kind of still focus on the inbox. It's like, let's say, Naeem, I want to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're ignoring your socials and everything, but it's like, but I know you have a fan page. Yeah. And I know if I leave a message, an audio message there's a high likelihood you're going to hear my voice, your fan. I'm going to do that. And it's free, right? And then if you reply, then I'm like, you know what? I like this guy. Then I might subscribe or buy something or give you a tip or something. So I don't know if that answers the question.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's kind of how we see, like, when you provide value, when you're actively connecting with your fans, that's when, they're likely to, support your show.
Yeah, nice. So in your opinion, what are some of the most valuable monetization strategies for podcasters?
The most important one, I put fan monetization right up there. That's because that's what we focus on. But I'd say the two big ones are sponsorship and fan monetization. And I'd like to talk about fan monetization a lot more because most of the industry, once you hear the term monetization, they think sponsorships.
Yeah.
But when you run the math on it, and if you don't mind, like,
no,
I just
not at all.
talk about the math a little bit. It's like, a lot of people don't know that, like, the average CPM, do you know the average CPM for sponsorships?
No.
It's maybe about $20
Sucks.
Per 1,000.
Per 1,000. So 1,000 to every 1,000 downloads, you get $20.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people don't know this, but not a lot of podcasts get over 1,000.
Yeah. No, it's
right?
tough.
It's like, it's very tough to get 1,000. So you're working that hard to get $20 for an ad spot. Yeah. That's, it's just, it's tough. It's not undoable. Like a lot of the prolific podcasters do it. But when you think about, if you had 1,000 listeners, can you get 5% of those people to buy something, to, buy some, like a subscription to a premium episodes, or, I don't know, buy a perk, like, or maybe you have a fan that's like, they love what you do and they just want a Zoom call with you. Yeah. Right. Like, would they pay for a Zoom call with you? Like, you could probably charge more than $20.
Yes.
And there's only one fan out of 1,000 that will take you up on that.
Yeah.
So I always say, don't forget fan monetization.
Mm-hmm.
Fans are your kind of your biggest asset, and potentially a biggest source of revenue.
Yeah, yep. So I get that question a lot from people, like, do podcasters make money? How do we make money? And I always tell them, don't get caught up in the big numbers, because I'd rather have 20 dedicated fans than a 1,000 people download and listen, and that's all they do.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not getting nothing out of those people, but those 20 fans I got, if they're dedicated, if I get something from every one of them, then I already did better than that CPM thing could do.
Right. It's not too hard to beat that CPM.
Yeah.
It's just kind of normalizing. I think the hard part, what I'm finding, is normalizing it for creators to sell something or ask for money. No one wants to be a salesperson. Everyone always feels bad about it.
I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too. So I get it. But I think as the society goes to a place where it's starting to normalize, like you're starting to see the big podcasters sell merch, do stuff like that. I think it's becoming more normal. They know, you're a creator. They know you need to make a living. They enjoy your show. They want to see it keep going. So
yeah, nice. So I did secure my first sponsorship recently.
Oh, cool.
With Rivermark Bank. They're going to sponsor 4 episodes this year, 1 each quarter. And I'm going to look into doing some more stuff with them. So shout out to Katie and Alyssa over there at Rivermark Bank. They've been really good with helping me out and seeing my vision. And they do a spotlight over at the bank, actually. And so they're going to be doing some spotlights on businesses. And I'm going to try and get some of those people they're spotlighting to come on my show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
So you talked about advertising, sponsorships, the listener donations. What tends to work better for a certain type of podcast?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I'd say sponsorships work really good for niche podcasts. When you're niche, like let's say you're based off a location or a very specific industry, then, those CPMs are usually higher because they really want to reach your audience or the type of audience you have. So yeah, for sponsorships, I'd say niche. I think, for fan monetization, I mean, I hate to say it, but it could be any type, I'd say. I think if your numbers are below, like, let's say 1,000, I keep on saying 1,000 because some of these podcast advertising networks won't even have a conversation with you until you're like over 2,000. Before it was 5,000. I think they're trying to get lower, but it's hard to cross that threshold. Whereas, fan monetization, if you have 10 followers, you can have, just kind of throw that experiment out there, see if anyone bites.
Yep.
So yeah.
How can podcasters effectively grow their audience and increase engagement to attract potential sponsors and advertisers?
Sure. There's so many ways to grow a show, I think.
Yeah.
All things being equal, the show has to be good.
Yeah. First and foremost.
So if the show is good, there's a clear message on what value or, even not value, even if it's just entertainment, whatever it provides, if it's clear and it's good, then all things being equal, I mean, the growth tactic I talk about a lot is through fan word of mouth. I don't know if your audience knows this, but in the industry, we talk about it at almost every podcast conference. What is the number one way podcasts grow? And every year it's still word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah.
Because it's hard to buy ads, you have
to buy a whole bunch of them.
Yeah,
and it gets expensive.
Yeah, it gets expensive, and the economics of like paying for these listeners just doesn't totally make sense yet. Yeah. So a lot of podcasters still rely on word of mouth. That's like how I tell people about podcasts all the time, and hope that's probably one more listener that podcast has. So and so to me the question is, how do you increase word of mouth? There's like no word of mouth button either.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So I say, when you're good to your fans, when you get them engaged on your show, they get super excited, especially like if you do that tactic where I kind of mentioned where like you drop a soundbite of your fan on the show, and then you give them a shout out. When your fans hear their name being shouted out, or even their voice on your show, that gets them on this high, where they're gonna share it with their 10 friends, or they're posted on social media or whatever. So that's how I kind of teach a lot about, like, how do you increase word of mouth, and I think that fan engagement piece.
That's definitely still probably my biggest way I've grown is definitely word of mouth. People I know and people who know me, and I guess social media counts as word of mouth too, right?
Yeah.
So are there any upcoming features on Fanlist that you guys got? Anything new coming down the road?
I mean, we do, but we do like our current feature set. Like, the feature set is strong, such that, like, if you think about sort of the, like I said, I've been a UX designer for a long time. When you think about the experience of a fan, it's like when they come to your show to take a free action, then they take some paid action. It's like, it could do all that right now. But I think some features we want to add to subscriptions, like right now we have podcast subscriptions, but other media types.
Gotcha.
So, so stuff like articles, newsletters, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a paid newsletter, like right now, the thing that we're trying to combat is, like, everyone has too many tools, right?
Too many, yeah.
They have like they have like a tipping tool, they have like a subscription tool, and then they have like Substack for newsletters. I don't know if you've heard of that tool, but it's like a big newsletter tool.
No, what is it?
It's called Substack.
Okay.
It's like, let's say you write a lot of newsletters and you want people to pay for your newsletters. That's
really?
Now, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was always a free thing.
Yeah, now
you can monetize it.
Yeah. Now
nice.
Creator economy is like helping creators monetize everything. So,
nice.
Our thought is like, let's bring it under one roof, so you don't have to have all these disparate tools to sell multiple subscriptions. So, so probably along with the podcast subscription, maybe letting creators post their newsletter articles,
gotcha,
or even like a video, stuff like that. So
nice.
Adding more media types.
Yeah. Well, you guys make sure you go to fanlist.com/Thorn City Podcast Guy. That's my Fanlist page, and so I'll try and get more engaged with you guys going forward here. It's a struggle for me, but I'm getting there.
We should have workshopped something on this podcast then.
Yeah, we should have. Well, we have to do that next time. Let's do it. Man, I appreciate you coming through, man, and sharing your story. Any final words of gratitude or encouragement for the listeners as they embark on their own journey?
Oh, man. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. I love, you asked, what's one of the things I gained most about producing that local podcast conference is just meeting the local people.
Nice.
It's like, before that conference, I think I knew like 3 other podcasters in town. Now I feel like I know 100.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And when they reach out to follow up, like you did, I love it because, I didn't get paid to do that conference. In fact, I had to spend a lot of my personal money, but then, what makes it worthwhile is like making these connections, really.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Nice. Well, how can people find you, and how can they get signed up for Fanlist?
Sign up for Fanlist. You get a free Fanlist fan page. Just go to fanlist.com, and to find me, you could go to my. You could go find me at Fanlist.
Fanlist too.
I'm just Pat at fanlist.com. Yeah.
Nice. Are you still doing your podcast?
I put it on hiatus.
Okay. I thought so. Yeah.
I need to start doing it.
It's like, I don't think he's doing it anymore, so maybe I won't ask him about it.
No, feel free to ask. I feel no shame. That's kind of the beauty of the media. Like, you could take breaks.
Yeah.
There's really no rules.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Well, I like to encourage the listeners to explore their passions and embrace innovation and pursue their entrepreneurship in your own unique ways. Thanks for joining us. Explore the power of networking and find inspiration by following me at Thorn City Podcast Guy for updates, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, and join the conversation today. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes of Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show as we continue to highlight individuals, businesses, brands, and podcasters. Don't forget to subscribe on the Thorn City Podcast Guy YouTube channel and follow at Thorn City Syndicate, the management company, at GMP Podcast Group, the podcast production company as well. And be sure to drop by www.thorncitysyndicate.com, schedule your free strategy session. Come on down here to 2406 East Burnside, and let's get you a podcast. The Thorn City Podcast Guy, holla at your boy. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Right.
That was good stuff.
What man? What power? Hoodoo.
I appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of the Thorn City Syndicate Spotlight Show, where we network and build connections, interviews, and discussions. Until next time, I like your boy, Thorn City Podcast Guy. I'm out.
You remind me of a man.